All right, everyone, welcome back for another deep dive.
Yeah.
I think we all know what we're talking about today.
Yeah,
Everyone's feeling it every time they go to the pump.
absolutely.
Gas prices are insane.
Yeah, it's a topic on everyone's mind, and it should be because it affects so much more than just, the price at the pump.
Right, it's not just about filling up our tanks.
That's everything.
Yeah, it kind of have these tentacles that go out into the entire economy, like we're talking groceries,
Yeah, yeah,
airfare, even like mortgages can be affected by this.
that's right.
It's crazy. So in this deep dive, we're going to try to figure out why.
Yeah.
Why are these oil prices surging? What does it actually mean for you and me in our everyday lives? And, like, most importantly, what can we do about it?
Yeah, what can we do?
Yeah. So to kind of guide our conversation today, we've got a really interesting report called Oil Shock, Understanding Rising Crude Costs and Impacts.
Yeah, good stuff.
And it kind of lays out, all the different factors that go into this. And I think one of the things that really stood out to me was that it's not just one thing.
No,
It's like a perfect storm of crazy
right.
going on right now. So,
Yeah, it's not just one villain. It's kind of a multi-headed monster,
oh, it's a good way to put it.
This oil shock. And the report does a really good job of kind of breaking it down. And one of the, I guess first and foremost, we talk about OPEC plus.
Right, of course. Yeah, OPEC.
They're kind of the big player in the room, and they've just announced these new production cuts, right?
Yeah.
Nearly 1.7 million barrels a day they're going to be holding back. And of course, less supply means higher prices. That's
Right. Yeah, basic economics 101.
right.
But it's interesting because I was reading some analysis before this that was kind of speculating that OPEC's influence was waning.
Right.
Like are they
Is this a sign of desperation?
Yeah, are they like panicking a little bit because, electric vehicles are becoming more popular,
Yeah.
renewables are
On
kind
the
of,
rise, yeah.
coming up. Are they worried that they're losing their grip on the market?
That's a great point. And I think there's definitely some truth to that. I mean, the world is changing, the
Yeah.
energy landscape is shifting, but OPEC plus still controls a significant chunk
They do.
of global oil production and this production cut.
Right.
Combined with the fact that Saudi Arabia just hiked prices for Asian buyers. I
Mhm.
mean, it shows there's still a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah, they're not going down without a fight.
No, they're not going anywhere.
Not yet, at least.
Not yet.
So, they might not rule the world forever, but they're definitely impacting our wallets today.
Right now, yeah, for sure.
Okay, so we've got OPEC plus.
Yep.
They're kind of,
One head of the monster.
one head of the monster, right?
Yeah.
But it's not just them.
It's not just them.
The report, Oil Shock, Understanding Rising Crude Costs and Impacts,
Yeah.
also talks about, like, war and this post-pandemic frenzy that's going on.
Right.
Can you kind of
Yeah.
unpack that a little bit?
Yeah. So geopolitical tensions
Okay.
and sanctions, right? Those add another layer of complexity. Think about it. Like every conflict, every disruption to global trade,
Yeah.
it's like squeezing that oil pipeline a little bit more.
Oh, that's a good analogy.
So it's constricting that flow. And then you add on top of that the post-pandemic rebound, right?
Yeah, everybody wants to travel now.
It's like everybody woke up from a nap
Right.
and decided to take a road trip at the same time.
And they got to get gas.
Yeah. And so the demand is surging,
Yeah,
but supply just can't keep up.
right. And so we're stuck in that,
The squeeze.
that squeeze. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we are feeling it.
Absolutely.
Like, I think one of the things that Oil Shock, Understanding Rising Crude Costs and Impacts, highlights so well is just how much this impacts our daily lives.
Yeah.
Like higher transportation costs don't just mean more expensive gas. It means
Everything.
everything, right? Yeah.
It's groceries. It's
It's the shirt on my back.
the clothes you wear. It's your
If
dream vacation you're saving up for. I mean,
Right.
everything has a transportation cost baked into it.
Right.
And when those costs go up, businesses have no choice but to pass them on to us
Right.
as consumers. And so we see that ripple effect in inflation,
Yeah.
which is a headache the Federal Reserve is trying to treat with interest rates.
Okay, so that's the part that I kind of have trouble wrapping my head around.
Yeah.
Is like, how does the price of oil
Right?
in, say, Saudi Arabia
Yeah.
translate into like a higher mortgage rate for me here?
Right.
Like, how are those two things connected?
Yeah. So think of it as a chain reaction. Okay.
Okay.
So high oil prices, right? They boost inflation. They make everyday goods more expensive.
Right.
And to try to cool down that inflationary fever, the Fed often raises interest rates.
Okay.
And when interest rates go up, borrowing money gets more expensive, and that affects everything, right? From mortgages to car loans to credit card debt.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, I hadn't even thought about credit cards.
Yeah, so it's
Well,
all connected.
okay, so this is all sounding pretty doom and gloom.
Yeah.
You know, I'm kind of feeling a little bit like maybe I should just bury my head in the sand, but
Yeah.
we're up. Oil shock. Understanding rising crude costs and impacts.
Right.
Says that there are things we can actually do.
Yes, there are.
Like we can.
It's not all doom and gloom.
It's not all doom and gloom.
There's some things we can do.
What are some of the moves that we can make to kind of protect ourselves?
Yeah. So first off, knowledge is our best weapon, right? So just being aware of what's going on. And so one of the things that we can all do is just rethink how much fuel we're using.
Right.
Can you carpool?
Carpool.
Can you bike to work a few days a week?
Take public transportation.
Public transportation, exactly.
Okay.
Little things like that can make a big difference. And then, switching to a more fuel-efficient car can really make a difference too,
Yeah.
If your current car is getting, say, 25 miles per gallon, and you upgrade to one that's getting 40 miles per gallon,
Right.
you could save hundreds of dollars a year, maybe even more, depending on how much you drive.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So,
I've been kind of looking at those electric vehicles. Maybe now's the time
yeah, maybe now's the time.
to actually take one for a test drive.
Give it a spin.
What else can we do?
So another thing is, keep an eye on energy prices if you use heating oil
Okay.
or natural gas. Think about purchasing that in advance, especially, before the winter months hit.
All right.
You might be able to snag a lower price and kind of hedge against any potential price hikes that might come.
Okay, so is that risky though? Like what if the price drops?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
It's not a foolproof strategy.
Yeah.
You need to weigh those potential savings against the risk of prices going down.
Right.
But historically, energy prices do tend to rise in the winter due to increased demand. So it could be a smart move for some people.
Okay, so you're saying, do your research. Figure out if it makes sense for you.
Exactly. And, the report Oil Shock, Understanding Rising Crude Costs and Impacts, also points out another interesting option.
Ooh, lay it on me.
So, when oil prices are high, energy companies often see a boost in their profits.
Okay.
So this could be an opportunity to look at energy stocks
Oh, interesting.
as a way to potentially benefit from the trend.
Okay.
But remember, never invest in anything you don't understand.
Right.
Do your research, consult with a financial advisor, and of course, only invest what you can afford to lose.
Yes, very good advice. Very good advice. Okay, so we've got these fuel-saving strategies.
Right.
We've got ways to potentially save on our energy bills,
Uh-huh.
and even some investment opportunities.
Yep.
It sounds like, staying informed about these trends can really pay off.
Absolutely. I mean, global events policies, even the weather can impact oil prices. So
Right.
the more you understand about the forces at play,
Yeah.
the better equipped you'll be to navigate these kind of turbulent times.
You got it. So it sounds like the big takeaway here is oil prices. They're a roller coaster.
Yeah.
And we're all kind of strapped in.
We're all in this together.
Yeah. But knowing why they're going crazy
Right.
and having a few smart moves, kind of in our back pocket can help us, weather the ride.
Exactly.
So a final thought, as we're kind of wrapping up this conversation.
Yeah.
I keep coming back to this question. Are we witnessing the beginning of the end
Ooh.
for gasoline-powered cars?
Yeah.
Is this oil shock going to accelerate
Right.
the electric vehicle revolution?
It very well could.
It's an interesting question.
Big question.
Something to ponder as we watch this all unfold.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us for another deep dive.
Thanks for having me.